We're going to look at how to say the negative past tense form of our basic sentence pattern A is B. In other words, A was not B. Now before we begin, let's just remind ourselves of the present tense A is not B pattern. Okay, we begin with our topic. That's the A portion of the sentence. That's the thing that we're talking about and we're going to give information about. It must be followed by topic particle wa, and there it is. Next, we put the information portion of our sentence. That's the B part. And then finally, we end with either dewa arimasen,
if we're being very, very formal. Alternatively, if we're merely being very formal rather than very, very formal,
we could use the same sentence structure, but instead of dewa arimasen, change the dewa to ja, which is an abbreviation of dewa,
and makes our sentence a little less formal.
So A wa B ja arimasen. But in everyday Japanese, the normal polite form is A wa B ja nai desu. So we still use the ja. That's the contraction of dewa. It's just dewa said very quickly. So we use ja, and then we finish with nai, and des on the end makes it normal, everyday,
polite.
So these are three alternative ways to say A is not B. And there are three different ways to make these sentences past tense. Now, before we look at the past tense, though, let's just get a standard sentence prepared that we can actually use as an example. This is not in the past tense yet. This is still in the present tense. It's a negative sentence in the present tense. And our A portion we've chosen to make my mother. The B portion we've chosen to make a doctor. So the sentence is, my mother isn't a doctor. Now let's just see how that ends up in Japanese. First of all, the topic, my mother, is indicated with ha ha, and that's humble form of mother, so we know it has to mean my mother. We don't need to add the word my. It's followed by topic particle wa to tell us that's who we're talking about in the sentence. So ha ha wa. Next comes the B information in the sentence, and that's a doctor. So isha, talking about my mother, ha ha wa isha. Isn't is dewa arimasen.
When we're being very, very formal, but if we're being just very formal, we end our sentence with ja arimasen, and we get haha wa isha ja arimasen. But in everyday polite language, we simply say
ja nai desu instead of ja arimasen or dewa arimasen. And that gives us haha wa isha ja nai desu. My mother is not a doctor. Now we're going to look at the past tense. So that's the A was not B sentence pattern. Okay, we begin with our A, that's our topic. So A followed by topic particle wa. Then, as usual, we put our information portion next. That's the B part of our sentence. So we get A wa B. Now we're going to put in the negative form of des, just as we've learnt. In the first case, it's our
very, very formal
version, so dewa arimasen. And now we're going to turn the dewa arimasen, it is not, into the past tense by adding a word that you should be familiar with, and that is deshita. So all we've done in this sentence is we've taken our negative sentence that we already know and we've added deshita on the end to make it past negative tense. Let's have a look at the
very formal
case. We've changed dewa to ja, which is simply a very fast way of saying dewa. Apart from that, the sentence remains the same. A wa B ja arimasen deshita. Finally, we have the normal polite form. That's your everyday polite form that you use with people who are not your friends or your family. So it would be your teachers or people in shops or people you've just met. And that would be A wa B ja remains the same, but the final portion you'll notice is different to the first two. To make the nai part into the past tense is a little tricky. We take the I from the end, we replace it with katta, and then we add des, and that gives you ja nakatta des. And that's the bit that means wasn't. So our full sentence A wasn't B in normal everyday polite language would be A wa B janakatta desu. Okay, let's go back to our sample sentence, my mother isn't a doctor, and see if we can change that to the past tense. So that becomes my mother wasn't a doctor. Okay, we begin with the topic, my mother. That stays the same, ha ha wa. So talking about my mother, it must be followed by topic particle wa, because that indicates it's what we're talking about in our sentence. Next comes the be portion of the sentence, and that's a doctor. In Japanese, that's isha, doctor, isha. We have to use the humble form of doctor because we're talking about someone in our own family, so isha. And then comes wasn't.
This is the very, very formal form.
ではありませんでした. So there we have my mother wasn't a doctor, highly formal. 母は医者ではありませんでした. Alternatively, you can also use the
very formal version,
which I wonder if you can remember. There it is. 母は医者. Instead of では, we go じゃあありませんでした. So that's the same as the top version, but the では has been shortened to じゃ. Finally, we get to the normal
polite
register. I wonder if you remember. 母は医者じゃなかったです. 母は医者じゃなかったです. Okay, a super challenge. How would you say, I don't like sushi? Stop the video tutorial if you need time to think, and then I'll tell you the answer. First of all, we have to change it to the Japanese way of saying I don't like sushi, which is sushi becomes our topic. We don't need to worry about I. Then goes isn't likeable. Okay, we begin with sushi, sushi wa. Then comes the likeable bit, and that's suki, likeable. And finally comes the verb, because verbs must go at the end. This is the negative form of des, de wa arimasen. So your full sentence, sushi isn't likeable,
in the very, very formal style is
sushi wa suki de wa arimasen. Then we've got the alternatives. The second alternative is your
very formal version,
and that's sushi wa suki ja arimasen. Finally, we've got our everyday negative form. It's still polite, and that's sushi wa suki janai desu. Sushi wa suki janai desu. So any of those three would be the correct answer to the question, how would you say, I don't like sushi? Okay, now for the massive challenge. How would you say, I didn't like sushi? So that's the sentence you've done, but in the past tense. Stop the video tutorial if you need a moment to think. If you think you know it, then you can go on and listen to the answer. Okay, first of all, we have to put it in the right order. So we say sushi wasn't likeable. That's the way we're going to express it in Japanese. So we begin with sushi. It's our topic, so it's followed by topic particle wa. Sushi wa. That's easy because it's the same in Japanese as it is in English because it's a Japanese word. Next comes the likeable part. That goes next, and it's suki. Kanji is pronounced su. Then we have to write the ki separately. Then comes the negative part, the is not, de wa arimasen.
This is the very, very formal form.
And finally, we make it negative past tense by adding deshita. That gives you the past. Deshita. And your entire sentence will be sushi wa suki de wa arimasen deshita. I didn't like sushi. Now we've got two alternatives and they are
very formal version.
Sushi wa suki ja arimasen deshita. And finally, everyday, normal polite Japanese. Sushi wa suki ja na katta desu. Sushi wa suki ja na katta desu. And those are the three forms of sushi wasn't likable. And here it is, all summed up, just as you have it in your book. So you should have already learned that des becomes deshita in the past tense. And in this video tutorial, we've learned that dewa arimasen, is not, becomes dewa arimasen deshita, was not. Ja arimasen becomes ja arimasen deshita. And finally, we've learned that the everyday polite form of it is not, janai desu, becomes jana katta desu in the past tense. It was not. It's a lot to remember, so you might want to listen to this video tutorial a couple of times. Ganbatte!